Thanks, John.
I work with Ken.
I'm
Okay.
Angela Ken. I'm the owner of Preferred Hearing Center in Olney, private practice audiologist.
Good morning, Philippa Channer, Channer Consulting, do marketing consultations if you need marketing support. I'm here to help, and also a board member of the chamber.
Benny Bienvenu, and I'm with the chamber here also, on the board.
Shannon Gorman, Gorman's Garments and Gear.
Hi everyone, my name is Trin. I am the brand ambassador of Surf for Water Only. We do water restoration.
Hi, I'm a receptionist at Jennifer Plumbing.
I'm Colleen, and I work at Sheer Boutique.
I'm Carrie Buffington. I'm Joe's wife and I'm Joe's Tia.
I'm Ed Hoffman. I'm a chiropractor with the Chiropractic Center.
I'm Brenda Norris. I own Uplift Gym.
Dan Petticourt, Petticourt Plumbing. I'm also on the new member of the board.
Robin Quinter, Quinter Design, Graphic Design.
Right on. And then Ken Linder in the back.
Yes, fashionably late. I just like to be seen when I'm
Yes.
So everyone know me now. Hello. How are you? Very nice to meet you.
And then not to be outdone by Bobby.
Hey.
Hey, Bobby. All right. You can sit right here, Bobby. Got a seat right in the front. Bobby, tell us about what do you do?
What do I do?
I know everyone knows, but
I'm a primary spine practitioner.
right on. All right. So, want to give you guys. I'm gonna this will be like a ramp up presentation for those of you all who have never gotten on social media, just trying to figure it out. Like the first part will be kind of like here's the lay of the land, and then we'll go to like step 2 and step 3, and then we'll ramp this thing up. So for those of you who are kind of a little bit at a higher level, we'll talk to you too. So we'll start kind of basic and then kind of ease you into the water a bit. All right, so let's talk about who are the players. So there's about 7 really big players in the social media world right now: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest. I'm really today just going to cover Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So give you a little bit of kind of demographics about each of these platforms. So Facebook, it is the largest platform out there. 2.9 billion users, would be like the largest country in the world right now if it was a country. 71.4% of the US population has a user account. The 65 plus demographic is the highest growing demo, but I know a lot of people say, well, none of the millennials, none of the kids are on it. 84% of millennials are active users, and they're the largest demo on there. So they are on there. A lot of times they're on there because some of them are getting jobs and they realize that their co-workers or some of their peers a little bit older are on Facebook, so they feel like they sometimes need to engage with them there. What does Facebook have? So Facebook, personal pages and business pages, we'll talk a little bit about that. Groups, so there are private groups and open groups. So for some of you, joining groups is a really good thing because it narrows this huge population down to small bite-sized groups that have the same interests. What can you do there? You can write a text post. You can just use text. You can repost an article. You can repost pictures. You can put your own pictures on. You can do video. It pretty much does every single thing. Good and bad with that. Because it does everything, that's really good because anything fits in Facebook, but it's bad because sometimes what we found, like during elections where people start posting articles that maybe aren't vetted, that sometimes people get annoyed that their feed is full of useless content. There are things called stories in Facebook. So anyone have a phone on them? Anyone have Facebook on their phone? So look at your Facebook on your phone. When you pull up your phone, right? 1/3 of your phone is stories when you come onto it for the very first time. So what do you think Facebook wants you to post?
Story.
Yep, exactly. So you get a little extra credit for posting in stories. They only last for 24 hours, so you don't get this long tail on them, but there's less, they use algorithms to decide what goes in your feed. There's less algorithms on the stories because there's less people posting and it churns through them. So some of y'all stories might be a thing you want to start doing. It's mobile friendly, it's also desktop friendly. And they also, Facebook has a very powerful backend called Meta. Meta includes Instagram, which we'll dig into, but it's got an ads platform that lets you do a lot of things. Facebook got in trouble during one of the elections, so there's a lot more transparency on how they do their ads. For instance, in real estate, we have to abide by very specific fair housing rules on who we can exclude from our ads and who we can include. Other platforms don't have that. So Facebook has a little bit more rules involved with it. All right, Instagram, 1.2 billion users. It is the younger brother, younger sister of Facebook, 1.2 billion users, 46.2% of the US population has an account. Gen Xers are the highest growing demo, and 61.3% of the users are between 18 to 34. Instagram, personal and business pages, just like Facebook. Stories, they have these things called Reels. Reels are videos, 90-second videos. Allow you to do like music videos, clip videos together, makes it really easy. What used to take me in video software half an hour to an hour to kind of put together, find music, do all these different things, they have a lot of power just right on the app. It's mobile focused. You can access this through the web, but it's really made for your phone. And it uses the same Meta platform that Facebook uses. There's a lot of very powerful business ads that you can work on with it. All right, YouTube. Stat here is 5 billion videos viewed every day. Think of YouTube as like the Library of Congress. Like everything that is kind of created is stored there. It's very searchable, lots of different content there. 62% of internet users in the US population use YouTube daily. Baby boomers, Gen X, highest growing demo. And the one thing with YouTube and some of these other platforms, so if you think about Facebook and Instagram, something that's put on Facebook or Instagram that's a week old is literally like ancient history. Has anyone watched a YouTube video that's 5 years old, right? I've watched 10-year-old videos, right? Like some of them they're still relevant because you may have a dishwasher that's 10 years old and you wanted to figure out how to fix something on it. YouTube, it's owned by Google, so you get an extra search engine possibility with that. When people do searches, they tend to Google likes to send you to YouTube videos as an option. It's almost all video. They've now, because of Instagram Reels and TikToks, they've started these things called Shorts, which are vertical videos that are short, like they say. It is desktop and mobile friendly. You can also create playlists. So for those of you who do educational series, you're doing kind of a theme, and maybe it's like a 6-part theme, you can create a playlist and send a consumer to that where they can kind of digest your information in chunks. And then Google Ads. So you've got Google, which is, very, very powerful. There, you've got Google Ads behind your videos. So for instance, in our real estate business, let's say someone is searching for real estate in Olney on Google. And then it's late at night and they're gonna make pasta that night. So they go looking for a video on how to make pasta. Before they can watch that video to watch how to make pasta, they get my real estate ad on there for that little, if you all ever seen that, when you're about to watch the video you want, but you gotta sit through, a real estate video or something. Google takes a lot of this stuff and incorporates it into YouTube. So you get some extra possibilities with YouTube. Yep.
Joe, how come sometimes you see skip ads?
Huh?
How can they make money if you hit the skip ads?
So, without getting too much into the weeds, there is a time period that once the viewer crosses over a certain time period, then you actually pay for the ad. If they skip the ad too soon, you as the advertiser don't pay for that ad. but you still get some product placement in front of them. Does that make sense?
Thank you, yes.
Yep.
We don't pay for the ad, but whoever puts it out does.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is like a really small group. It is one of the smallest user bases, but that's a good thing too, right? It is very business to business friendly. 19.8% of the US population has a user account. But here's the thing, 52 million people used it for job searches, right? It is very much a job-based, business-based. So you can use it when you are trying to connect with people. A lot of businesses, they go and, that's how they determine who they're gonna work with, is they sniff them out on LinkedIn. So if you're not there, even though you don't have a lot of, business to business opportunities, your customers might be sniffing you out there because that's how they go about making decisions on who they hire in their professional world. All right, it is desktop and mobile friendly. Job postings is one of the really big things. All right, and then TikTok. All right, so TikTok's weird because right now there's a lot of issues over security and whatnot, but it is one of the fastest growing apps out there. 1 billion as opposed to 5 billion on YouTube. 1 billion videos viewed per day. 60% of the TikTok users are Gen Zs, and it is all video. A lot of stuff with music. So there's a lot of stuff with trending music that happens with it. When you go on TikTok, you've got a For You and a Following. So your following is like your friends, and the For You, it looks at what videos you stay on, what things that you interact with, and then it pushes those into the algorithm and into your feed to take a look at. Any questions on TikTok? Yeah.
I noticed last week that the federal government just banned them from governmental firms.
Yep.
And your thoughts on?
So there's so in their user agreement, there's a lot of things they can do to your phone. Instagram has some of the similar stuff, but there's concerns because it's a Chinese company that they're potentially using your phone to sneak in there and do other things. They track a lot of the things you're doing. When you're not on the app, it's tracking a lot of the things that you're doing. Shocker, almost all of these things are doing the same exact thing. Like nothing's free in this world, right? Y'all know that? So a lot of these apps, they're fun, they do a lot of stuff, but they are gathering data. They are watching some of the data. It's just, do you trust the owner of that data? And that's one of the big things why a lot of, like Maryland, Governor Hogan, before he was done, he had the Maryland employees, he wasn't allowing them to use it for governmental purposes. Yeah. So, and TikTok's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of users on it. Personally, I started using it and then I've moved over to Instagram just because of this concern that maybe it might go away. Instagram has they saw how quickly TikTok grew, and Instagram decided to add this Reels thing in, which kind of is the competitor to TikTok. But TikTok's done a really good job. TikTok is starting to take some of YouTube's market share for video search, because a lot of times when we go into Google and we look for stuff, right, now a lot of people go into TikTok to look for the exact same stuff. How do I do this, right? All right, any questions on those couple platforms before we move on? All right, so marketing. So, again, at the end of the day, social media, it's a marketing tool. Like I was gonna bring a fax machine to kind of give you an example of really all social media is, it's a tool to deliver your message, right? The two most important parts of your marketing plan are gonna be your content and your audience. And I tell you, really, the audience first. We sometimes think as business owners about our content only, like, hey, I have this great product, I need to push it out to the marketplace. When we kind of ignore the fact that, like, well, what does our customer want? What does our audience want? And how do we message it so that it hits them correctly and that they understand what we are marketing to them? So you gotta have a budget, right? And if you have no budget, it just limits when it comes to delivery. So this is the like a marketing hub, content in the middle. You have these little spokes for delivery out to your customer, the audience. And I put in here, content without context is just noise. So you may have the greatest product in the world that you love, and that you want to get out to people. But if your audience doesn't see the value in it, blasting them with your message isn't going to work. They need to understand why they need that, and you need to understand why your customer needs that too. So let's talk about our audiences. What are their needs, right? And I think you really got to understand what their needs are in the marketplace. And I break audiences down a lot of times into kind of these like this or this, right? It's in real estate, it's either people you know or people you don't know. It's existing customers, it's new customers, it's customers who don't even know you exist, right? Your messaging to those three customers could be totally different. Same product, different messages. You've got out of the area customers who may not know anything about your location, or you may have in-town customers who know everything about where you are, where you stand. So your messaging is going to be a little bit different, even though the product or the content's exactly the same. All right, the other thing is content is contribution. So when it comes to content, and I run into people who are like, oh, I don't want to post, I don't know if it's worthy or whatnot. I tell people, don't get too caught up in your likes, follows, and shares, things like that. Like, if you affect one person with your content, like, you could really help someone in a decision that they're making. So your content is good, right? I think in most cases it is. Sometimes it maybe is your delivery's wrong, or you put it to the wrong audience. But don't be afraid to put content out there, because I think you'd be shocked to find out how many people you actually can help with good content. So what types of content are there? There's a ton of content. I just listed a bunch that I tend to go to. How-to videos, right? Like for Dan, where's Dan? Yeah, Dan, like you do a lot of technical work, right? There's a lot of how-to videos that people probably would enjoy, right? And would probably save, if a client had maybe not done Harry homeowner, not done something really stupid, right? When you go in, you'd probably have an easier fix, right? FAQs, right? In some of your businesses, people have commonly asked questions, right? And what happens is we answer these questions on a one-on-one basis. Why not spread that out, right? Why not leverage that? Put a megaphone on it so that other people will get that same question answered. Product highlights, right? Like you have a product, you want to highlight it. I think that's the one we see the most. Industry market updates, right? Like what's going on with your marketplace. Location. Sometimes it's, if you are a location-based business like real estate is, it's good to highlight where these people are moving to, or where they're going to be interacting with you. Partner spotlights, right? Like I think it's always a good thing to, 1 + 1 = 3. There are people in your sphere, there's people in the chamber, right, who have similar types of clientele. Highlighting another business who you work with is always a good thing. You blend both databases together in a sense. I put here thought leader. So sometimes I'll put out stuff that has nothing to do with real estate, but I try to better people's lives, right? Just try to give them a little more information. Testimonials are excellent, right? Like, have everyone ever been on a website and it says Bobby, one of the best chiropractors in the whole wide world, Sally G, right? Or you get Sally to get on camera and she's like, oh my gosh, Bobby, saved my life by doing this, right? Like that comes across so much better than just the text. Event promotion, yeah.
Any way to say if they're really genuine or all this fake other stuff?
How's that?
Any way to find out if a testimonial is true, is real, versus being a fake one?
And that's where, and I'll talk about this, video. I think video creates authenticity. And that it's something that just the written word, or even just a picture, sometimes doesn't convey as well as video can. Because that's a good point, because I think we're all skeptical now, especially if you've seen all the stuff about Chat GPT, right? There's a lot of automation out there in the written word. They haven't quite figured out the CGI to make you look like some computer like you. They are probably at some point, but yeah, that's where you're going to get the authenticity. Event promotion. So if you're doing events, social media gives you a lot of opportunities to push out events. And then the day in the life, right? Like sometimes you can let people into a little bit about who you are, how you do things. It's the, you know, HGTV, at least on the real estate side, like people wanted to see behind the scenes on a real estate agent, what their lives like, what goes into a transaction, even though a lot of that stuff's all fake. But people do want to see sometimes what goes into how you create your masterpiece, right? How you create your business. And then delivery. A couple ways to deliver your message, right? You guys know this. Right now here, probably in the last 30 minutes before this, you guys were doing word of mouth, right? You guys are one-on-one, print, email, web, online, and then social media. Any questions on this before I move on?
Real quick question for you.
Yeah.
Is there any additional money that you have to pay from like Remax or a business that could enhance it, or is this all free? This is
Yeah. So with these platforms, there are paid versions.
okay.
When it gets into your business pages on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, a lot of times to get your message a little bit further, you do sometimes have to spend money.
Okay.
However, back in the old days, we used to, you know, I keep going back to our real estate models, but we had these homes and land magazines. They were, you know, magazines that we'd pay good money, put an ad in there, and hope that the delivery truck made it to the Chinese takeout restaurants that weekend so that people saw your ad. And it was very much by chance. We were just hoping, right? Now I can deliver an ad to a 15-mile radius of Olney. I've got a home that's in Olney. I assume that, let's say, 75% of the consumers are gonna come from that radius, right? And I can kind of target. You know, depending on your product and where it's located, you can do some different things with location-based ads. Yep.
What is just so people know, like, how inexpensive is a Facebook ad? Like when you talk about what are you paying, what do we pay that, and what's your reach?
Yep.
Just with that might be.
Yeah, so like this ad right here. So this is one of my favorite ads for real estate. I call this my 431 real estate ad. It's 4 photos. I write 3 things about the property in the description, and I have 1 link. My idea is I want to put my 4 best photos forward of the product, have 3 things that might kind of spark some interest and drive some emotion, and then get them to click on my link to go to my website. I spend on and I'm like letting you guys in on my secrets here, about 20 to 50 bucks a weekend. So I'll do a Thursday to Sunday run, because what I'm trying to do is drive people to my open house or drive them to this link. And if you think about the old school marketing, in the old school marketing for real estate, it used to be like we used to have to get them to like pick up that phone and call us, or drive to our office or drive to our open house. It was kind of like a big leap from your ad to getting them to make these big actions. With social media, all I need to do is just take a tiny step, which is click on this link, and I'll give you all the information you want behind this link. I just want to get you to move a step closer to my product and a step closer to me. So a lot of this is, and again, I have a narrowed focus. I look at a house like this. This house was $650,000. There's only a small pool of people who can, should, or would buy this home in that weekend. So I don't need to do a huge marketing budget to reach the audience I need to reach. And that would, so for 20 to 50 bucks, that would drive me, my goal is 1,200 reach, 250 clicks. If I know I'm hitting that number on a 4-day run for my real estate ads, I knew I was in good shape. And I think some of your old business is going to be a little bit different based on the product. Yep.
When you see like on Facebook or on Instagram, it's like $10 boost.
Yeah.
Is that the same as kind of like getting you that extra? Does it get you that much? What is it doing?
Okay, so there's Boost and then there's Ads Manager. They look very similar in Facebook. Boost, they try to gear towards people who are like, just get an ad out, right? Ads Manager is what professionals at Coca-Cola, J.Crew, all big companies use that platform. There's a lot more accountability on that platform. The Boost, when I've run A/B, like I've run one ad here and I've run one ad here, I find a lot of like oh, I've got a like from El Salvador and South Africa. Here I tend to get a lot more someone in Maryland. So, you know, like, so I found I just got more quality on the people who are looking at it. Yeah, good question. Uh-huh.
What about a company, you mentioned Dan doing plumbing work?
Yep.
What about a company that is offering a service and not a tangible product, such as a house or some other kind of makeup, whatever, cosmetics, something, whatever
Yep.
is there? What are the differences and how would you make sure that with whatever videos and stuff you're doing, you're not putting yourself out of business? In other words, if Dan wanted to do how-to videos, are they going to look at his video instead of calling him? And is that working against him eventually?
So that's a really good question. Yes and no, because there are some things like Dan could be giving away some secret sauce, but Dan could also create some great, you know, like if I watch Dan's video and I get to a point it's just too tough, I'm gonna call Dan. But I've also seen him, like I saw him fix this or he fixed a little thing on a toilet, right? And that's an easy job. I could do it myself, but he's so professional. I saw that like he came in, he had booties on, and like the way he talked to the camera, like I'm calling this guy if I have a big problem. So I think he might, in a sense like that, he could lose some of the little jobs, but I think he also could create a big following of people who are like, man, that guy is awesome. Like, and there are people who don't want to DIY everything, right? Like Carrie, great example. Like I tried my own plumbing one time, right? Like disaster.
Ceiling fell in, and
Yeah.
we had to redo
Yeah.
lighting. So
Fourth of July weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Awful. Awful.
There are things like that, like Dan has told us before, some preventative things, right? So it's also what you're doing. Just because it's a how-to doesn't mean that you're giving away your business. Your how-to was, hey, run water through your, something to make sure your pump is working or whatever, do this every whatever, you'll keep it in shape. So his how-to could be preventative maintenance.
100%. Yep. Good point.
There's also such a trend now toward DIY everywhere.
Yep.
That in a lot of ways, for instance, in our profession, a lot of people now think we're useless because you can go on Canva or you can go on some other Fiverr, some other thing, and there's no need for a professional to do what you're trying to accomplish. So there's a fine line there too, that you don't want to put yourself out of business either.
Well, and here's the thing is you can try to I'll put it this way, the consumer will always win, right? Like someone else will put out content, they can find content. And I think that's where you got to elevate your game. And I think like for us, like there is 1.7 million real estate agents out there. We're all not the same, right? Like, so it's my goal to try to, with my videos, my posting, to try to show that we're different, right? And we're not for everybody, right? And I think for someone who, again, like we're talking about, like with your publishing work, like show them the higher level, right? Like this is, yes, there is stuff you can go out and get for free. I get that, right? Like someone can sell, people have sold homes and bought homes on their own for ages before me, and they will do it for ages beyond me. But there's a certain segment who, this is their largest financial purchase and sale. Like this means a lot to them, and maybe they don't have the time, effort, energy to put in. And then I've got to show them why hiring me will make their life better, make them more money, do a better job. So that's where I focus on that gap, as opposed to this bottom part, which is the easy part. You know, sure, I could lose money by giving someone all this great content and information, but I find that I wind up winning more business at the end of the day. Yeah.
So whenever you post like a Facebook ad, a lot of times it tells you like, suggested interests and stuff like that, and Facebook kind of like pre-populates it with something based on whatever algorithm. Do you recommend like trusting that, or do you recommend just being like, no, it's useless, just go ahead and do whatever it is that you kind of want people who have their interests, like, for example, like for me, it might be like, I don't know, lacrosse or, gymnastics or something like that, but instead it like puts like Neiman Marcus chairs, or something where it's just like, why is that on here?
So are you using like Boost or Ads Manager or?
I don't really do it. But,
Okay.
I mean, I've done it in the past, and I'm just kind of like, well, these don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can get really cute. Like you could do an ad and focused on, let's say you were a nutritionist, you could focus on people with peanut allergies, right? If they've got that as an interest. Again, you can really get too narrow. And I think, and again, the beauty of this is you can try some things, see what type of audiences you get, without getting way too much in the weeds. One of the things like on Facebook, like for videos, you can put a video out and then you can track to see who's watched this video. Let's say it's a 2-minute video. Who's watched this video for 30 seconds or more? And you can build an audience off those people who've watched it for 30 seconds or more. Because those are people who they committed, right? Like 30 seconds on a YouTube or on a Facebook video is a long commitment, right? So that's an audience that I want. So now the next video I want to do, instead of marketing to all these people, even including the people who only watched for 2 seconds, I'm just focusing now on these people. So there's some really intricate things you can get into with their platform. When it comes to interest, I think you can play with that, but yeah, I'm just not 100% sure.
Sure.
Yeah. A couple social media posts. You can do like inspirational text. This is one I did on Instagram. I got a low kind of traction on it. Again, sometimes you want to get things that engage people, but having good content and things that mean something to you. Community highlights. So during COVID, I did a 30 and 30 series, 30 videos in 30 days, highlighting locations or businesses within Olney. This is one I did about the adventure park at Sandy Spring. They wound up reposting this. So I got kind of a little bit of I exposed it to my followers, but also then I got exposed to Sandy Springs followers. I do a Thursday Thinker. So this is, I was talking to Dan about this, about having like a routine or a schedule on social media posting. I think it's good to have kind of a day of the week that you've committed to. And sometimes if we leave it up to ourselves, we'll be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get it done tomorrow. My hair doesn't look good today. I'll do it then. I know there's a Thursday next week too. So I've got to get a video ready for next Thursday as well. So it gives me a deadline every single week. And actually I wind up shooting my Thursday Thinker on Wednesdays. So don't tell anyone. But these are like I give out ideas on things. Sometimes they are real estate. Sometimes my audience is real estate agents. Sometimes it's my sphere a lot of them are business owners. So I try to give advice and just, everyday stuff. This is something I'll put on LinkedIn. I'll put on YouTube. I'll put on Facebook. Market updates. I was using TikTok. Now I'm going over to Instagram, but I was doing TikToks on market updates. Just doing funny ways of presenting really dry, boring content, but just trying to put it in a funny way. Yep.
Is there a platform you use that kind of hits all of the social media at the same time, or do you do it one at a time?
Yeah, so you can use platforms like Hootsuite, Later, and Facebook has its own calendar, which will allow you to pre-post stuff, and then it'll push it out to Instagram and Facebook. Most of these platforms like native posting. What native posting means is I take my content and I put it directly into TikTok. No third party gets involved. Sometimes when a third party gets involved, all these sites kind of they don't like it. Yeah, Philippa was saying, they kind of move it down.
So
Facebook,
Zapier,
what's that?
So like Zapier, for example, it'll just kind of not so much.
Yeah, they so if you take a YouTube video and try to post that on Facebook, they're like, nope, that's our major competitor. Why would I let you put that platform? So taking that same video that you uploaded to YouTube, take that same video, upload it to Facebook. And it goes 100 times farther.
Cool.
Yep. Other examples, like I did a event promotion on Instagram Reels. Again, with these Reels, they allow you to add a lot of video kind of editing that normally would take me an hour to do. It's just really quick on my phone. I can do it in about 10 minutes. And I always say, like, my shtick is comedy. Like, people are like, dude, you were so weird online, but I want you in my corner if I'm selling my house. But you know, people learn when they're laughing too. So we try to use comedy a lot in our stuff, and that's just who we are. Like, if you meet us in person, you're not going to get a really dry person. So I don't want to like give someone a false impression of who I am. And this lets them know, like, this is what you're going to get. Don't hire me if you don't want this. Yeah.
Do these reels have a minimum or maximum time? Like how?
Yeah, great question. 90 seconds for a Instagram reel.
Okay.
And once you have that reel, you can take that content and actually you can repurpose it and post it. There are some services that will take the Instagram logo off, which some sites like better, but I'll take my Instagram reel and I'll put it in as a YouTube short, and I'll put it in sometimes I'll put it into Facebook, into my story sometimes, or as a post.
I was just gonna
Yeah, hop in.
enhance what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying about, you know, just be yourself on social media. And be the same person that somebody's gonna meet, because I've seen so many times where once the camera goes on or once they start writing a social post, it sounds like a completely different person. They're trying to be more professional, quote unquote.
Yep.
And then they really are, and then I try to tell them, like, this is not you, use your own voice. And it's hard to get over it, because a lot of people think, yeah, I have to be this way on social media.
Yep. It was great. I went to a seminar, and it was these like rock stars in real estate who do videos. Like, their stuff is just awesome. And one of the prerequisites to get on stage was you had to show your very first video. They were awful. They were so bad. But it was just kind of like, oh, like, that's where they started. Okay, this is where they're at. Like, there's a progression. So don't feel like you've got to like hop in here and be perfect. And then a lot of it is, and the beauty of this stuff is, like, even if you screw up royally, number one, you can delete it, right? Number two, the feeds go so quick, people forget, people miss stuff all the time, that you're not like hung out there in print, like it's on like the town, like, you know, at the center of Olney, like, you know, shame on you. So these are stories. Like, this was a story we did. Someone had a birthday party in our office, just shot a quick story about it. Again, it's just one of those things that I wind up hitting some of my customers. I also recruit agents to our office, so I want to show the world these are things. This is an inside look into our office. We're a lot of fun. Look at us. All right, tools, tips for social media. So I've talked a lot about content, us pushing stuff out, but this is a two-way street, right? Like, you also need to engage with other people. 15 minutes a day. You don't need to spend hours on social media. 15 minutes a day engaging with your customers, clients, right? Go in and comment. So a comment is not awesome, exclamation point, right? A comment is 4 words or more, okay? So actually have a little bit of a conversation with them. Number 2, here's another hack, is go into businesses that your clients frequent or are interested in. Because I don't know if you guys have seen it, like, you'll see like maybe Norbeck Country Club, and then one of your friends commented. There may be 32 comments, but you saw your friend's comment in there. So people in your feed, their comments will show up on businesses. So if there's places that your clients are engaging in, engage with those businesses. Number 3, content storage. Like, you guys have these epiphanies about marketing that come to you while you're driving, while you're in an appointment. Have some type of tool on your phone that you can jot this stuff down. I use Trello and Evernote, so whenever something comes to me, I'll be listening to a podcast. I don't have time to shoot the video right that second. I'll type it into the program just so I can store it for later. And sometimes some of these ideas, like, I've actually curated some content that, like, for 2 years, and I've thought about it. Like, I'm like, I want to post about it. It's just, maybe it's not the right time. It's not the right season. And then sometimes the season's right. So gather some of your things. You know, I was told some great advice. If you do something more than twice, right, shoot a video about it, right? You can shoot how-to videos that sometimes will help your customer. Number 4, video. We use a lot of video. And Benny, you asked a great question about this, like with testimonials. Video does things that other social media just doesn't. I mean, it's just such a great tool. It's 3-dimensional. When you see someone on video, it builds instant credibility, right? It is that person. It's not like, again, it's not that Sally G and some, kind of computer bot could have written this testimonial. It's the real person, right? And you get a fit and feel for how that person is, right? They're a lot more approachable, right? When you've seen them on video. Bobby, I didn't know you until like I started seeing some of your video stuff, and I'm like, he's a nice guy, right? Like, you just don't know, like, are they this, are they that, right? They're really successful, they wouldn't want to talk, right? Like, so, but then you see them, you're like, they're just a normal person. Like, it creates a lot of approachability. Maybe you don't want that approachability, then you just come off as really mean on, right now. Number 5, rev.com. So one of the cool things with when you do shoot video is your video, can create a script, right? Like the things that you talk, it's like a dictation. So for YouTube, because it's in the Google family, Google will go through your description. So you shoot a YouTube video and then there's a box down below that has a description. What I will do is I will transcribe my video and put it in the description. So let's say I'm talking about Trin, like Trin did a video about doing a restoration, and she talked about flood and Silver Spring, Maryland, and hot water heater burst, right? And then someone Googles like, I had a hot water heater burst in Silver Spring. Like in Google, it will scan that and it says, this maybe is the video this person should be looking for. So Rev will, again, transcribe your video, so it allows you to very easily. I used to spend so much time shooting a video and then spending time like rewording exactly what I wanted to put into the description. This cut that in half. Yep.
Okay.
Rev.com or any of the similar ones help you with ADA compliance online?
ADA.
American with Disabilities Act.
How?
And how a lot of video needs to be compliant now with, sign language or some other means of accepting the message.
Oh, cool. Okay. Are you asked that? Does it do that?
Is Rev.com one of those that will help you with that?
I assume so. I'm not familiar with that. So.
Yeah, I think what she's asking is there's video transcriptions, and then
Yep.
there's transcriptions that you can embed into like you can add a transcription file into YouTube, and then YouTube will show the transcription as the video is playing.
Yep.
So yes, so that it could help with that.
Yeah, many of the sites will automatically transcribe on the video, and even YouTube is starting to, and Google is starting to like pick up words. But I always find like I want to get my text out there as much as possible as well.
Joe,
Yep.
what you just said about video transcription, does it work the same for still images and just content, or is it just?
So yes, like so for instance, Google will like take a still image and they will pull text. They are reading text out of still images. However, it's a lot easier if it's in a text body. They can read it so much easier. It just goes a little further. Yep.
So just make sure what you're saying is using something like rev.com, get your video transcripts, and then use that as the description of the video, the
Yep.
caption of it underneath it, so that way you're getting both the video and the
Yep.
SEO from the text.
Yeah. So like for my Thursday Thinker, like it's a video. It's on YouTube. YouTube will caption it. I'll also put the rev.com, put it in the body of YouTube, but then I also send it out as an email to my database, and I put that as the body of the email. And I try to bullet stuff. So rev.com isn't perfect, and what I try to do is I'll trim it down to try to more bullet point it so that people can skim through and see like I have 3 points in here, or I have these points. But it definitely took a lot of the like going back to a blank slate and having to rewrite my whole script. And then number 6, this is the most important thing. Don't get caught up on the views, don't get caught up on the likes, don't get caught up on the comments on your posts. If it's about you, it doesn't work. It's about your customer, right? Like what we talked about with content, you know, content is contribution. Think about your consumer, right? Like if you just help one person, right, you could have made someone's day. Like that's sometimes all that matters, right? Even just not just from a business point of view, just from a personal point of view. You could have improved someone's day, and that's all that matters. Because I know a lot of people they're like, you know, they get caught up on like, oh my gosh, it's under like 100 views, like delete. I got to take this thing offline, and that's not what's really important. Because I've gotten a lot of people like sometimes I'll push something out, and I get crickets, right? And I'm like, that sucked, not doing that. But then like from time to time, people will come to me and they'll like at back to school night, someone's like, hey, I sent your video to my cousin who's getting a job, and he loved it. And I'm like, how the hell did it go? Like it traveled around the world a little bit. So, you know, just stay positive about your stuff. Let it get out there. All right, so what I want to do is I gave you guys a little worksheet. Let's take a second. How much time do we have? How are y'all doing on time? Okay. Yep. So let's take a couple minutes. So what I want to do is kind of give you guys some examples to kind of work out, because I'd hate for you guys to walk away from this and be like, that was awesome, right? And never do anything with this. So what I'd love to do is have you guys leave here and actually post something. So think about, you know, I've given you two on the back of the sheet, two things, audience and content, right? Like who, and I love this line, you know, find an itch and scratch it, right? Think about your consumer. Like what's a problem you've solved in the last week? So, anyone, just throw it out.
Someone having no hot water.
Someone having no hot water. Okay. How'd you guys solve it?
We installed a new water heater.
Okay. Yep. What caused them not to have hot water?
The age.
Okay. How do you know something is old? Like what is there something you could do preventative, like that would have prevented them from having an emergency?
Just being proactive, just knowing the age of your water heater.
Okay.
That's all.
How do you know the age of your water heater?
The serial number.
Okay. What? Right. So, right. Like, so if you want to prevent having like one of the worst things you can do is come home on a weekend you're away and your hot water heater like leaked out. So here's one thing you could do to check the age of your hot water heater is and show the serial number, right? Like this is where you find the age, you know, and you know, if you're concerned about the age, most hot water heaters are what's the age? What's the
so anything 10 years and over.
Yeah. So if your hot water heater is 10 years or older, call Dan over. He'll do an evaluation of your hot water heater, right? Okay. So that you don't have. So what we find is that usually in marketing, I find there's two things. There's like customers go towards opportunity or they run away from threats, right? And sometimes, and I hate to go there, but like usually in all honesty, the threats is where most people tend to run to a product based on avoiding pain, right? So if you can help them find a problem that they've had and help them, give them the solution to that pain point, right? And how you can solve it. Yeah.
We're going online tomorrow, so you don't have to come in the shop to buy it.
Okay.
So we're gonna start launching stuff online. And
Yep.
I need to know, other than our Instagram followers, how else can we get it out?
How else can you get it out?
How else can we get it out there other than people that follow our Instagram page?
Do you have an email list?
Yeah, I mean,
Most marketers, like we don't talk a lot about email in this, but like marketers, like your email list is still golden.
yeah.
Email is a really good thing. Utilizing some of these and using what content you've got. Let's say you're gonna push a video out on Instagram, sending that same kind of content in your email so that like maybe they just saw a glimpse of your Instagram and just thought, oh, it's the chicks from the pro shop, right? Like, oh, and then they get an email, oh, it's about the shop. Like then they start connecting the dots because we're just bombarded with tons of content all the time, that sometimes if you can mirror the content in different places that you think your customers will be at. Does that help?
Yep.
All right. Philippa, what are problems you've solved for your clients?
Most of the problems that my clients have is coming up with content ideas and having the time to do it. And so the solution I have is batching content. It's
Okay.
taking time like once a month to batch content and how to do that, what that looks like.
Who's your target audience?
Small business owners.
Okay.
Really like solopreneurs that only, it's just them,
Yeah.
or really like 5, employees or less, and nonprofits who just, their marketing person is their secretary who's actually doing 10 other things. They just happen to have, oh, can you do social media also?
Yep.
And so I say I team up with them. Let me give you some strategy. That way you can make the most of the 5 hours you have to dedicate to social media.
Okay. Very cool. All right, Bobby, how about you?
Headaches.
Okay.
Yeah, so solve headaches.
Okay. Tell me more.
What do you want to know?
So what kind of headaches? What causes the headaches? What do you do to solve the headaches? Like, how do I know I need to come see you?
So migraines or tension headaches. Those are 2 of the 3 classifications of headaches, and a lot of times migraines are caused by cervical disc bulge pushing into certain areas.
It's not my 14-year-old daughter that causes my headaches.
So, it could be.
Hold on.
That could be.
One month. Okay.
So basically, teaching somebody to find their directional preference with their neck and maybe their mid back can help resolve it pretty quickly.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of finding a different movement strategy, and then it goes away.
Did anyone else find that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
You're
like.
very smart.
So word of mouth, you got a couple people on board, but with social media, you just put a megaphone on that, right?
Sure.
Like now you get an opportunity to get that out. Again, I'm huge on video. Like that's a great you may be having a migraine. You may think, oh, I'll just take a Tylenol or an Advil. It could be this. Here's how we solve this problem, right? And give the customer kind of that. And a lot of times, and this is where the shift of the pitch is different on social media is no one's like all of a sudden just gonna watch your video and then like their back just is like perfect, right?
Yeah,
All you need them to do is just step a little bit closer, right? Like, okay, now is maybe a time I call Bobby, right?
Sure.
And get it fixed. Cool. How about you guys?
So I'm just thinking about all of my patients who come in for wasted appointments. I teach them when they are fit with hearing aids how to take care of them, how to clean them, how to change the little filters. And they call me 9 times out of 10 for a broken hearing aid when it's really just the little filter that needs to be switched. It takes 2 minutes for me to do it, but I really am seeing the benefit in creating a video or how to clean your hearing aids, putting it on YouTube, and then sending them to the YouTube page to save them time and me time.
Okay. Yeah.
That's basically where my head's going.
That's awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyone else? I mean, you got good stuff.
I mean, it could be a myriad of stuff. Like sometimes we'll get into a home, we'll be taking up a floor, and we'll do a video about what is unexpected when we pull up that floor. Many times, people still have asbestos floors, and sometimes it has to be, taken up professionally, and other times we can just throw carpeting over it. Many times we pull up a floor, people want to put down something like LVT, the floors aren't level. They have to be perfectly level to put down a new LVT floor. And we have to explain to the customers why that's so. A lot of times I'll go on, and as you said, I'll go on Instagram. I'll do a small 2-minute video on the subject like what makes a good flooring product, why doesn't a floor go down in a good application, just little things like that. To your point about giving away information, I don't think you can give away enough information. Giving away information breeds trust, and it's trust. And the reason that people pick you, as you said, there's a million places to go for a realtor, a million places to go to a flooring company. People want a great experience, they want to trust the person they're dealing with. So giving away information is fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Second.
And to a certain extent, with like what you were talking about, once you got into like leveling the floor, for me, if a YouTube video is like longer than 2 minutes about something tech, I'm like literally like, all right, I'm good. Like leveling the floor, it's not worth my time. Yep. Yeah, Rob.
So far, all the comments or all the problems to be solved are consumer level.
Yeah.
What about those few of us that might actually be B2B businesses,
Okay. So who's your audience?
other businesses?
What are their needs? What keeps them up at night, and how can you solve that problem?
Right? For me, I would look at, for instance, a printed piece of theirs, pick it apart, and tell them how they could do it, how it could be done in a more effective, more attractive way. Now, they may not feel the same way, but that would be an example. I can design something, or I can come up with something that looks atrocious, and I can find it on the internet any number of places, and pick it apart as an example, but that's not necessarily getting me into a Montgomery County, a Howard County small business right there. So that's what I'm trying to figure out the difference of how to specifically target that audience. Does that make sense?
So finding that audience is one thing. So I mean, I guess you've got a group who you can go after. It's looking then at, and it's two different things, right? It's audience and message, right? And are there particular businesses within that group that need your services more than others? Okay. Okay. So, and again, just understanding your business with how people market and aesthetics, right? Like I think maybe it is picking apart someone's, an anonymous ad that some people like. Again, it's kind of an afterthought, and maybe.
Just look at my mail, the junk mail that comes every day, and I can scan it in and pick it apart or something. But it's just a difficult nut to crack, and it's a little different than getting consumers.
Yeah, but it's also, and I think because you're dealing with aesthetics, right? I've done a class where I talk about remember on Facebook the gold and blue dress, or was it gold and black, right? Like two different people, and I don't know if it was just a joke or not, like being played on me personally, but it was like two people saw the same picture and saw two different things. And I think that's hard with aesthetics, but I think like you said, like going through your junk mail, like literally, and showing people that look, there are mistakes that get made. Companies invest thousands of dollars in finding a list of consumers, getting it printed, getting it mailed out, and they don't think about the aesthetic. Like they had their receptionist who's doing 15 different things, no disrespect, do this marketing piece, and they invested like $50 in the design, but they spent 20,000 on, and they failed, right? Like, so that's something like, as far as crafting that message, that I think you could really hit some businesses,
Yeah, like just from what you said, like what I see, like a series, like I would say like a weekly series, where it's you do the green screen type of thing, where you find somebody's ad, and on one side you say this is the original ad, and then on the other side you say this is your version of that ad. But then it's a video of you explaining what makes your ad better. And then, you're just doing that, and they're all business ads. And so I feel like that would be a good series.
And probably pushing the personal relationship, versus just some random person being like, I'm here, I can help you, I'm not talking
Here,
to
I'm here for you.
Yeah, like pushing your experience and.
Like, we can speak to you personally, and if it comes in wrong, or if something's wrong, you will fix it, you stand right in your work. And that's a lot of times you see someone on board, there's a person there that really stands behind that work.
Yeah, maybe that's a testimonial from one of your customers, kind of explaining that, look, I've been there, done that, I tried this, right? Like I tried using Canva to make this thing and did all this design and found out that it was a premium package, and I designed it all wrong, and I don't know what to do now. And then 15 minutes before my presentation, right? Anyone else? Trent? Ken?
Well, yes, this past week I second chapter with the slow leak,
Uh huh.
and it must have happened for a long time, because by the time we discovered it was a hot mess, you know, a
Yeah.
lot of damage, floorings and walls and stuff. So we were able to come in and help to restore his property. It took a week. But the lesson for him is, you know, we suggest that we have this plumbing checked by Dan, right? Often, you know, to make sure nothing is leaking.
Okay. Yeah, Ken.
Question, this is intimidating, right, when you haven't done it?
Yep.
So what was your first step? You know, like I saw that little camera and the light and that was, you know, is there some, your Thursday thinker, the routine, but what is how do you put your foot in? Is it just one post? And then, you know, because you, 2-3 years ago to where you are now, and I love what you said with the real estate agents when they showed their first video,
Yeah.
but what have you reminded yourself to keep it on? Like, did you have metrics that you would say, did you start getting metrics after 3 months, 6 months? Did it happen right away for you?
I just committed to, I needed a better platform to get my message out there, and it just started doing it. I ignored the metrics initially, because the metrics sometimes will get you too caught up in the like, I'm doing great, I'm doing terrible.
Okay.
I just quit, no one's watching, all my effort is worthless, right? Like I think it can go down the wrong way. If you're not doing it consistently, sometimes it's not like, if you're not being consistent about pushing the content out, it doesn't make sense in investing in all this stuff and getting too complicated. And I think that's the thing, sometimes people get too complicated, or they want it to look too perfect. I've got some agents who, he's pushed out some beautiful videos, but he gets too caught up in the aesthetics and wants it to be like the background blurred and like the wind blowing, and it just doesn't happen all
So
the
do
time.
you recommend getting a helper? And how do you get a helper? Do you have some of that insight? Or can you self do that stuff?
Yeah, like
timeline?
literally my first tripod was a trash can put on a conference room table, and the trash can lid held the phone,
Love it.
right?
Cool.
You know, a ring light's really, this is probably the like first step, just so that I hate shooting in front of people. I hate shooting in front of people. Like it's terrifying still to this day. Cause like I'll look at their face and then all of a sudden I'm like, what did I just say? Like, so like I love to shoot all by myself. So, you know, and you can edit out stuff.
I like it.
Yeah. But again, I look at, man, so you do home remodeling, there's certain things that you do, and there's information that you could get out that would really help people. Like, and by holding that information in, I say shame on you.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are people who, like I look at, like in real estate, we walk into people's homes and they're like, we just painted. And we're like, oh no, you didn't. Purple? Really? Like, you know, and I was like, but that's my fault. I look at that's my fault. I didn't get content out to them.
No, I like your contribution.
You know, so that they understood that don't do that, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say too, just for starting, just because Joe does it, I don't do it, and he's trying to get me to do it. So 2 things is that number 1, just say once a week, I'm gonna do something once a week.
Yeah.
Not even every day, once a week. And then the other thing that I was saying, Joe really wants me to shoot videos when I'm showing properties. Because some people are still like, oh, you're the buyer's agent. I'm like, I am, but I figured he's doing it. So when you're doing stuff, like he's every day, take some little videos, and then at night, just put those in your stories. And my videos, like he's like, ugh. But he's like, just keep doing it, it'll get better. But that is like inexpensive and very, just to get your name out there if you're just looking like, oh, this is what I'm doing. So there's easy ways to get yourself out there and inexpensive.
And from a technical, good point, Carrie, on a technical point of view, you don't need to be like in Instagram shooting a story and have it go live. Because sometimes what happens is things happen and you're like, was that good? Did I just, oh my God, like it's out there. I'll just record video. So if you're recording stories or reels like this, YouTube, like full length stuff, and usually property stuff that's more, I want to shoot horizontally. But like for this, I started grabbing a little bit of B-roll for this thing, just in case I wanted to shoot something later. And I wasn't ready to like produce this thing. So like Carrie was saying, if you're going out on a job or you're going out working, right? Like Robin, film yourself going out to the mailbox, right? Like you may just throw that clip away at some point, but if you have it, you have it. Yep.
Is there like a day of the week that is usually best to post stuff, or a time of the day that's usually best to post stuff?
Yeah, yesterday or today. Right? Yesterday was the best day to post something, and today is the next best day.
Got it.
Don't get caught up in that. I will tell you though, like with my Thursday Thinker, from a production point of view, I started shooting it on Wednesday so that I could have it in people's email boxes at 7:30 the next morning. I was shooting my Thursday Thinker because I was proud that way, like on Thursday.
Sure.
But what was happening is all these appointments were getting in the way, things were happening, and I was like shooting it at like 7 o'clock at night, and then like rushing to get it out the door so that I got it out at like 11:59 on Thursday night, and I wouldn't post like at 11:59 on Thursday night, but I think anytime during the day.
Don't feel bad. Right now I'm gonna schedule all of my May content. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So what you can do is like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
As someone that supports a lot of your businesses, I would say if you don't have a consistent, like Joe gave you lots of different platforms you could go with. And some of you guys have an account that is easily related on all of your different platforms. The very first step before you post something would be to have an account that has a name, like Preferred Hearing on Instagram, Preferred Hearing on Facebook, Preferred Hearing on LinkedIn, like so they or your name, so that you have somewhere to post from and can be tagged to.
Yep. Yeah. That's talking from the chamber point of view because they like posting. Well, I will tell you.
Let's just try to support
Yep.
that business.
Absolutely.
Business, so it helps if it is.
Yeah, if you don't have a business
Or a
page,
person.
if you don't have a business page, get one, but don't get too caught up. Sometimes people are like, do I post on my business? Typically your business page, unless you're putting money behind it, unless you have a lot of really sticky content, it's not gonna get a lot of traction. I tend to put a lot of my stuff on my personal page, unless I'm producing content about people's properties, then I put it on my business page so I can monetize it and push that out a little bit, which is a little bit different. But don't get too caught up. If you don't have a business page, just get in the habit of posting, right?
Like just have a
Yep.
right, like even if it's
Yep.
your personal one,
Yep.
like, even if it's not a business
You got it.
one, you need to make an account.
Yeah, because the
That
chamber
you want
does
to use
yeah,
in
because the
some
chamber
way.
does a great job posting your businesses so that it's almost like your calling card. And that's the beauty of social media. Again, I went back to that old print version where it was like, man, it was a heavy lift to get someone to go from this print ad all the way to your front door of your business. Nowadays, it's just, you can get them onto your website, onto your Facebook page, and if you've got some contact and content information in there, they can just learn a little bit more about you. Yep.
That is so interesting because I often wonder why, like on LinkedIn, I manage our company's social media. So I have a company page, but I also have my page, but it's all company related. Sometimes I'll post something different than what I post on the company, but a lot of times I would copy the link and post the same thing on. And I always wonder, because like the company page doesn't get as much impressions, whereas my page, my company, but my personal page, it's got like, triple, quadruple the
Yep.
amount of traffic.
And you can post on your business page and then share it on your personal page too.
Yeah.
As a little bit of a hack. Sometimes your followers sometimes might get a little like, okay, like enough, right? So you got to be careful about what you're posting on your personal a little bit, but that's another, yeah. You're definitely always going to get more views on your personal page. But you get analytics on your business page. You will get analytics. If you need to show a customer kind of what you're doing with your business page, sometimes that can be really helpful. But
can I ask something about hashtags,
Yeah.
Joe, on social media? So, is there a difference if you keep using the same hashtags on nearly every day's posts? Because most of our posts have, water damage, restoration, it's the same things. Does it make any difference in terms of effectiveness, or should I make different ones?
I'll defer to the expert.
I would say it's good to have some consistency. So each platform has their preferred amount of hashtags to use. And having consistent hashtags is not a bad thing, because then people, when they look for that content, if they're looking for that particular thing, they're gonna see a lot of your content, and that's what you want them to see. But it's also good to every now and then throw in some fresh ones that are unique to that particular post as well.
Okay, thank you.
And then one last thing I'll leave you with, just a little story. So I was at a football game, Sherwood High School football game, and I've been doing a lot of TikToks, and I have this like 8th grade following right now. I'm at Farquhar Middle School. When they go to buy, like I'm gonna be a billionaire in about 15, 20 years. So I'm at the football game, I'm watching my son play, and I'm like, you know, these 2 kids come up from behind me, and they're like, hey, we sent you a message, did you get it? And I'm like, they're messing with me, right? Like, I'm like, these kids, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm watching the game, and you know, and so my daughter comes to me, she's like, did Vinny and Christian come and talk to you? I was like, yeah, 2 kids, yeah, the kid who looks like the kid from Stranger Things, and she's like, yeah. And so she's like, yeah, they made an ad for you. And I was like, what? So I look at my Instagram, or I'm sorry, in my TikTok, and they'd sent me an image in message. And so this was the image that they sent me. So they went through my ads, and they took a screenshot of one of my videos. I was showing how big of a fish I caught, I think. And they came up with this. There, if you know Better Call Saul from Breaking Bad, they came up with Better Phone Joe. So it's kind of cool, you know, when you think, you know, this is one of those things like never thought anyone's paying attention to some of the stuff. It's just goofy stuff, but it made an impression, and these kids came up with a hashtag for me, right? Like it's like, dude, this is awesome. So you never know who you're affecting with some of your social media. So just get it out there.
What platforms do you use hashtag on? All of them?
Yep.
You can? Okay.
Yep.
Just to add on to what
Yep.
Joe was saying, you know, about commenting and doing for, and how that changes the algorithms and how that changes how often people see it. Is that what, like the more you comment, the more it's shared, the more it tags you into it. So you guys all have a built-in network because of the chamber, right? You have this built-in network of businesses that are all wanting to succeed, that are all wanting to increase their population and reach. So comment on the, I mean, that's your number one way. And Bobby's like one of our favorite commenters, right? It's even more than a like, it's a four-word comment, changes algorithms all around. It helps you, it helps them. Then you do it to somebody else. I mean, 280 businesses do the same way you. There's a lot of people out there to help. So.
Yep. And I've got a QR code here, and Jamie can give me the list. I'll send out the whole presentation to you guys and just some links and some examples if you guys want it. But thank you all very much. Thanks for
That was awesome. I hope you do another one.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. You should do another one. This was
Thank
great.
you. Cool.
Big help.
Yeah, thank you.
And even for people that are on social media, this was